Option A, nearly 1 in 5 global entry applicants gets conditionally approved, fills out the paperwork, pays the $100, waits months, and then sits in that interview chair for less than 7 minutes before a CBP officer tells them they are not getting the card. 1 in 5. And most of them had no idea it was coming. Option B, here is something CBP will never advertise: you can be a completely law-abiding citizen, have a clean background check, and still get denied for global entry, because of a single trip you took 12 years ago to a country on a watch list you did not even know existed. Option C, most people think global entry denial is about having a criminal record. But the number one reason applicants actually get rejected has nothing to do with criminal history at all. It comes down to 3 lines on your application that almost everyone fills out wrong. Final hook, option C. Most people think global entry denial is about having a criminal record. But the number one reason applicants actually get rejected has nothing to do with criminal history at all. It comes down to 3 lines on your application that almost everyone fills out wrong. If you are applying for global entry, or you have already been denied, the next 10 minutes could save you $100, 6 months of waiting, and a whole lot of frustration. Let's get into it. Global Entry is a customs and border protection program that lets approved travelers skip the standard customs line when returning to the United States from international travel. You use an automated kiosk, get your receipt, and walk out. No line, no agent, no drama. It costs $100 for 5 years, and it also includes TSA pre-check, which alone is worth $85. Here's what the CBP website does not spell out clearly enough: conditional approval and final approval are not the same thing. When you submit your application and CBP reviews it, you might get a status that says conditionally approved. That means you passed the initial screening and you are eligible to schedule an interview. It does not mean you got the card. The interview is where denial actually happens, and for a lot of people, they walk in completely unprepared for the questions that get asked. The program denies applicants at the interview stage every single day. And the reasons are more specific and more avoidable than most travelers realize. The global entry application process has 4 stages. You apply online through the Trusted Traveler Programs portal, CBP reviews your background, you get conditionally approved and schedule an interview, and then a CBP officer conducts a short in-person interview at an enrollment center or through the Global Entry Interview on Arrival program at select airports. That interview is not a formality. The officer has your full application in front of them. They are looking for inconsistencies, red flags, and anything that did not surface in the initial background check. They will ask you about your travel history, your criminal history, and your customs declarations history. And they have access to a lot more information than you might expect. If the officer determines you do not meet the program requirements, or if something in the interview raises a concern they cannot resolve, they can deny you on the spot. You will receive a letter explaining the general reason, though CBP is intentionally vague in these letters for security reasons. Let's talk about the actual reasons applications get denied, because this is where most content gets it wrong by oversimplifying. First, criminal history. Yes, a felony conviction will disqualify you. But here is what people miss: it is not just felonies. Certain misdemeanors can trigger a denial, particularly those involving drugs, customs violations, or dishonesty. Even arrests that did not result in a conviction can come up. A DUI from 15 years ago, a dismissed charge, an expunged record, these can all surface, and if you did not disclose them on your application, that omission becomes a second problem on top of the first. Second, travel to certain countries. CBP evaluates your international travel history as part of the risk assessment. Travel to countries under U.S. sanctions or countries associated with elevated security concerns can raise flags. This is not an automatic denial, but if you traveled to one of these countries and did not mention it accurately on your application, that inconsistency is a serious problem. Third, prior customs violations. If you have ever been stopped at the border for undeclared goods, paid a fine for a customs issue, or had items seized, that is in CBP's system. Minimizing or failing to disclose this on your application is one of the fastest ways to get denied at the interview. Fourth, and this is the big one, inconsistent application information. CBP cross-references your application against passport records, travel databases, and prior customs interactions. If your application says you have made 3 international trips in the last 5 years and your passport stamps say 12, that discrepancy is going to come up. Vague answers, forgotten trips, underreported addresses, these signal either dishonesty or carelessness, and neither plays well with a federal officer. But here is what almost every traveler gets completely wrong about this. Being denied for global entry is not permanent. CBP does not publish this prominently, and most people who get denied assume it is over. It is not. You have the right to appeal, and here is the part that surprises people. The appeal process is handled through a written request called a redress inquiry, submitted through the DHS Traveler Redress Inquiry Program, also known as TRIP. You submit your case, provide documentation, and a separate review is conducted. If the denial was based on incomplete information, a misunderstanding, or a record that was incorrectly attributed to you, the appeal can succeed. On top of that, even if your appeal is denied, you can reapply after a waiting period. Some applicants who are denied on a first application are approved on a second, with a stronger, more complete, and more consistent application. The door is not closed. It is just harder to open the second time. The travelers who sail through global entry interviews do a few things differently before they ever sit down with that officer. They audit their own application like CBP would. They pull their travel history from their passport, cross-reference it with what they submitted, and make sure every trip, every country, every date is accurate. If there is a discrepancy, they address it proactively in the interview rather than getting caught flat-footed. They disclose everything relevant up front. Even if you are not sure whether something needs to be disclosed, err on the side of disclosure. Officers respond much better to a candidate who says yes, I had a minor issue 15 years ago, here is what happened, than to a candidate whose records reveal something they did not mention. They prepare for the interview like a job interview. They know their travel history. They know what they declared and did not declare at customs. They are ready to answer clearly and without hesitation. And they do not let the interview scheduling process slow them down. Here is exactly what to do if you want to get global entry without getting tripped up. Step 1. Before you apply, audit yourself. Pull your passport. List every country you have visited in the last 10 years. Note any customs interactions, even minor ones. Note any legal issues, even dismissed ones. This is your raw material. Step 2. Fill out the application completely and accurately. Use your audit list. Do not round down on travel frequency. Do not skip a country because you only had a layover there. Accuracy is your protection. Step 3. After you submit, watch your status in the TTP portal. When you hit conditionally approved, that is your green light to schedule your interview. Do not wait. Interview slots fill up fast, especially at major enrollment centers. Step 4. If you are having trouble finding an interview slot, use appointmenthopper.com. They monitor for newly opened appointment slots across enrollment centers and help you get in faster, which matters because conditional approval is not indefinite. Step 5. Prepare for your interview. Know your application cold. Be ready to discuss your travel history, any customs declarations, and any legal history honestly and calmly. Step 6. If you are denied, read the denial letter carefully, even though it is vague. Determine whether the issue is something you can address through the DHS TRIP appeal process, or whether a stronger reapplication is the better path. Either way, you have options. Global Entry is one of the highest value travel programs available to U.S. residents. $100 for 5 years of skipping customs lines and getting TSA pre-check is not a question, it is a no-brainer. But it only works if you actually get approved. The denial rate exists because the program has real standards, and the application process has real traps. Criminal history nuances, travel to flagged countries, undisclosed customs violations, and inconsistent information are the 4 areas where applications fall apart. Know those areas. Prepare for them. And if you have already been denied, know that appeal and reapplication are both legitimate paths forward. Once you are conditionally approved, do not let the interview waitlist slow you down. Head to appointmenthopper.com to find available slots faster and get your card in hand sooner. If this video helped you, subscribe. We cover all 4 trusted traveler programs, Global Entry, NEXUS, SENTRI, and FAST, every week. The next video you need to watch is right on your screen.